Desculpa, sério, desculpa ai, do fundo do coração.
So, creepy Brian has finally realised the error of his creepy ways. He's given Ingrid the apology that she so greatly deserves. But he just can't leave it there. There's just something about the whole sex scandal that has Brian thinking that Ingrid isn't being honest with him.
Something's off. I just feel like Ingrid has been standoffish since the beginning. So I can't get out of my head totally that she's not attracted to me.
If there's no attraction, then there's no relationship, Brian. But before we get into that, let's rewind to the start. So we left the pair in a very weird spot after Brian reacted terribly to Ingrid refusing his offer of oral sex. Now, personally, I'm still trying to figure out why he got mad when A, he can't feel anything down there anyway. Heck, he could possibly even die from ejaculating. And B, he was the genius that bought little blue pills rather than protection. But I guess that's just creepy Brian for you. But either way, that whole incident has left Ingrid feeling horrible.
Aí eu peguei e falei assim, calma aí. Não vai fazer isso. Ai, eu me senti incomodada, sabe?
Look, she doesn't need to explain herself or apologise for feeling that way. If Ingrid doesn't want oral, then that's it. No means no. But let's just address the elephant in the room. Let's just be real for a second. For as intimate as that sex act is, whether or not Ingrid chooses to admit it, I think we can all see that she isn't really sure whether or not she even likes Brian yet. Now, the thing is, instead of acting like an adult, Brian stomped his feet and stormed out of the room. And now, his horny desperation has given Ingrid the serious ick.
Pra ele que era, com tanta sede, eu pode, parecendo que tá morrendo. I don't know, o que é isso?
Yeah, it's gross. It's gross for anyone to act like that. But doubly gross when it's Brian. From day one, he's had this sleazebag sex pest energy about him. Now, Ingrid actually goes on to tell us that this whole offer of oral wasn't a conversation. It wasn't really an offer. At no point did Brian ask. He just made his way down there. He acted like Ingrid should be grateful, and when she wasn't, he got butthurt by it. And today, in the cold light of day, he still doesn't think he's done anything wrong. In fact, he even calls his sister to complain.
But as soon as I went in to start the belly button, it was stop signs and sirens, and that messed me up.
She didn't want you to go down any further.
Right.
Brian's looking for sympathy because he thinks he's been wronged. He thinks that Ingrid not wanting to have sex with him is a sign that she's not attracted to him. But while there might be an element of truth to that, there's also a whole lot of truth to the fact that he's projecting his own insecurity on her. Guess what, Brian? You're not entitled to have sex with Ingrid just to prove a point. And it's good to see that his sister calls him out on that. She says she's disappointed with his actions.
And then I tell her, you know what? What's wrong with you? You're just sending too much mixed signal. I'm confused.
Oh, Brian.
Yes.
You can't be like a caveman or a Neanderthal with that move.
You know it's bad if your own sister calls you a caveman.
We interrupt this program with breaking news.
Is it just me, or does that caveman have an uncanny resemblance to Big Ed? Look at him, they're like twins. And hey, while I've got your attention, have you subscribed yet? YouTube tells me 70% of people watching this aren't subscribed. If that's you, what are you waiting for? Where else can you get insights like that? Come on, hit the button. Now, back to what I was saying about creepy Brian. You know what the wildest part of this is? Forget the fact that he's having this very detailed, intimate conversation with his sister.
That's weird. That's weird.
What's even worse, what I struggle to get over, is that it's left to his sister to explain the simple concept of empathy, of respect to this stupid man. She explains to him that oral sex is a sensitive issue. Not every woman likes it or wants it, Brian.
When somebody's head and face is right there, that's like somebody's as close as they can possibly get to you at that point. You know, you want to be more respectful first.
Considering it was only last night that Brian was boasting about how he normally takes Brazilian girls to bed on the first night, it really doesn't sound like he knows much about being a good lover, does he? Brian sounds like he's incredibly selfish in the bedroom, because if he's not asking his partner what they want, then he's only doing what he wants, right?
You gotta ask instead of assuming, like, here, let me give you this. This is my present to you. You gotta be like, do you want this present? I won't go there with a woman until I have been with that person for a while.
If Brian's sister isn't already a certified therapist, she might want to consider changing her career. She's nailed it. She's absolutely spot on. Truth bomb after truth bomb. And it seems like her message may have sunk in with Brian. He's now been adequately told off, which is ironic considering he only called her for sympathy. And with his tail between his legs, he literally says the words, "I never thought about that," which makes me so sad for anyone this guy has ever slept with. Hopefully this has been a learning experience for him, but it's just a shame that he's had to make Ingrid feel in order for him to learn something.
Oral sex can be more intimate than penetration for a woman. Yeah, it took my older sister, unfortunately, to teach me that.
Brian has now had the light bulb moment that he's f***ed things up royally with Ingrid, and regardless of what happens next, he owes her a massive apology. But even after being completely humbled by his sister, Brian is still controlled by his own insecurities. He's still incredibly suspicious of Ingrid's intentions.
Something's off. I just feel like Ingrid has been standoffish since the beginning. So I can't get out of my head totally that she's not attracted to me.
Now, this might be in Brian's head, but that doesn't mean that it's not true. There could well be something to it. Like, Ingrid could be grappling with the fact that she liked Brian online, but now in person, well, the realities of his situation and his personality might have completely changed things for her, including attraction. But whether or not that's indeed the case, remarkably, neither of them, not Brian nor Ingrid, are yet ready to let go of this relationship. In fact, they agree to meet in person to talk things through. And Ingrid makes it clear exactly what she's looking for from this conversation.
Mas se ele não pudesse responsabilizar pelas ações dele, eu acho que a gente tem que cortar por aqui, porque esse não é o Brian que eu conheci.
So, with Brian contemplating cutting things off with Ingrid because he's worried that she might not be attracted to him, and with Ingrid contemplating cutting things off with Brian if he doesn't take accountability for his actions, believe it or not, for once, these two might actually be on the same page. Hallelujah, miracles can happen. So, with his sister's words ringing in his ears, Brian actually starts off on the right track, kinda.
Tô errado. Tô a pegar culpa por essa, mas eu quero falar mesmo que... Mas eu senti que ele tava brincando comigo. Mostra que ele não gosta de mim, porque só tô na cadeira.
He takes responsibility, but he doesn't exactly apologise for his behaviour. In fact, quite the opposite. Instead of apologising, he launches into a rant about how Ingrid's actions affected him. Yeah, forgive me for saying, but that kind of negates the whole taking responsibility bit, doesn't it? Now, Brian explains that Ingrid's actions have confused him, but Ingrid takes issue with this. "You're making this all up in your head," she says to him. "Let me explain to you why I said no, because clearly it's beyond your intellectual capabilities to work it out for yourself."
Pra mim, é uma coisa mais íntima. Você devia ter perguntado pra mim, não devia? Ter perguntado, o que você acha? O que você acha? Aí eu fiquei assim, pô, cara.
Perhaps second time will be a charm, because this is exactly what Brian's sister has already told him. Oral is intimate. Get it tattooed on your forehead, Brian. Next time ask, don't assume. Now, Ingrid goes on to say that up until now, throughout the duration of their online relationship, Brian was always so respectful, so his actions in person have made him seem like a totally different guy, and that scares her. She doesn't feel like she knows him, and hearing this from her finally seems to knock some sense into Brian.
Desculpa, sério, desculpa do fundo do coração.
Brian turns on the waterworks and begins to get emotional as he apologises for his behaviour. He can finally see things from Ingrid's perspective, and he says he's embarrassed by his actions. And not for the first time, the whole teary, emotional thing seems to work on Ingrid. She forgives him. She accepts the crap that he's selling. She agrees that they're still trying to understand one another in person. They're still trying to learn to respect each other. And that, knowing that he's managed to weasel his way back in, leaves Brian feeling very happy with himself.
I'm feeling positive that me and Ingrid have cleared the air. She's special to me, and this is worth saving, and we need to communicate better. And if we can get that under control, I think things will start to look up for us.
Far be it for me to ruin this lovely moment, but it's Brian who's been lacking in the communication department, not Ingrid. Either way, the real question here is there actually any truth to Brian's fears that Ingrid isn't actually attracted to him? Maybe there's nothing to be worried about. Or maybe Ingrid's still trying to figure it out for herself.